Hello, my name is Richard Skalnings from the language technology company Tilde, and what I'll be talking about today are tools for enabling multilingualism in the digital age, specifically custom machine translation, which is the technology in which Tilde specializes. But first, I'd like to take a step back and take a look at the online world today, or rather take a listen to the online world, to what the internet sounds like in 2017. The internet is an ocean of language. If we listen to it, we would hear a sea of multilingual information, a sea of multilingual dialogues, multilingual content, multilingual interactions, and multilingual discussions between users online. The internet has become fully multilingual in 2017. But this wasn't always the case. If we went back 20 years to 1998 and took a listen to the internet, what we hear is mostly English language content. In 1998, the internet was 75% English language content, so it was almost fully monolingual. Today, in 2017, English language content has been reduced to less than 30%. So there's been a shift over time from a monolingual internet to a multilingual internet. So how did this happen? Well, it happened because other language communities started coming online over time. The internet has expanded to encompass the whole globe, and as people come online for the first time, they also bring their languages with them, making the internet fully multilingual like it is today. So what are those languages that are online? 70% of the internet today is actually Chinese language content. It's Arabic, Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, and other larger languages. Almost 70% is fully multilingual content, with less than 30% that's English language. And of course, there's the long tail, the other 7,000 world languages that also have a presence online today. So when we look at the internet, what we're seeing is more and more multilingual dialogues, multilingual reviews that are written online, customer service forum posts, social media posts. These are all happening more and more in multiple languages. This is especially true on social media. This is a map of Twitter communities online in Europe. What we see here is there's a lot of huge volumes of content that are being written in each of the countries on Twitter, and the content's being written in the native language of the countries. So people are communicating on Twitter, but they're doing that in their own language. They're communicating with one another in their own languages. In fact, people are growing so accustomed, so used to writing online in their own language that frequent studies have shown that 42% of Europeans actually never purchase products or services if they're written in a language other than their own. So if a content is not available in the language of a user, he or she is simply not going to buy those products because they've become so used to writing in their own language and also to receiving content in their own language. So for brands and companies that don't communicate online in multiple languages, this represents the potential to have lost consumers in the amount of up to 250 million in the EU alone. So brands or companies that don't communicate in their customers' native language can lose up to half of the European community, half of potential consumers in the EU alone. So one potential solution would be just to simply use English. It seems that English is more and more the lingua franca in the business world, but in fact, online, studies have also shown that 62% of Europeans don't speak English well enough to hold a conversation. So they're certainly not going to feel comfortable enough buying or engaging online if content is presented in English. So English language isn't a solution for companies that want to reach these multilingual consumers. So what is a potential solution to this multilingual challenge? I think that the Italian novelist and semiotics professor Umberto Eco said it best when he said that the language of Europe is translation. That translation is the way in which Europeans are communicating is in fact the lingua franca of the entire continent. So of course many companies and brands today are utilizing translation more and more to reach these multilingual consumers. We see this all the time when we go online, and we're asked, for example, not only to show where we're from, but also to choose a language in which we'd like to see information presented. We're seeing this more and more. We're also seeing language that's detected automatically based on our place of residence online. So when we go online, we're automatically receiving translated information so that we feel more comfortable both engaging with the brand and also purchasing products. But what would it mean to fully embrace multilingualism? What would it mean for brands and companies to fully embrace multilingualism in the online world and to try to fully reach the multilingual communities that have come already online? I think that first of all, it would mean the ability to engage with international customers in their own native language. So not only to speak to them, but also to engage with them, to allow them to interact with your company in their own language. It would also mean to enable a company's employees to communicate with one another across language barriers. It would also mean the ability to access information about global markets in multiple languages, which is incredibly important for companies today. And finally, it would mean to have the ability to analyze what consumers across the globe are saying about you and about your company, which of course they're doing online in their own native language. This is what it would look like. This is what it would mean to fully embrace multilingualism today. There have been two ways in which this has been done or attempted. The first is traditional human translation services or localization services. This is written human translation, and this has been an alternative, of course, for a very long time online. But there are several drawbacks to human translation. First of all, it's costly. There's a high price per word. Second of all, it's time-consuming. As many of you who have perhaps tried translation know, it takes a lot of time to translate a text, and it also demands a very special expertise in the type of content that's being translated. And quite simply, it would be almost impossible for human translation to keep pace with the booming volumes of content that we're seeing online today. It'd be practically impossible to keep up with the volumes of content that are coming online and translate all of that content by humans alone. The other way that it's been attempted is through generic online translation services. We all know these services. We've perhaps used them online to translate casual text and snippets of text. It's free, or there's a low-cost API for companies, but often we see that there's very poor quality for specialized texts, and there's very poor quality for certain languages. So there's very uneven language coverage that's offered by these generic online translation services. And perhaps more importantly, for companies and organizations that want to translate, these services don't provide data security. So there's always the threat of data leaks in using these online services. So they're not the kind of services that a company would want to use with their own proprietary content, much less with confidential data. So what's an alternative to using human translation or generic online translation? The alternative that I'd like to present today is custom machine translation. This is also the technology that Tilde specializes in. Custom machine translation, which we feel is really the key today to fully embracing multilingualism and enabling multilingual communication online. So what is custom machine translation? Custom machine translation means machine translation systems that are highly tailored, that are highly customized or adapted for specific languages, for specific styles, and for specific types of content. So they're highly customized, highly adapted systems that translate with a very high quality for very specific types of text. They also improve through use. So using custom machine translation ensures that the system will get better as you use it, and it will learn over time and actually adapt to the type of content you're using. They're also very easy to integrate into different platforms and applications, which is incredibly important for brands that communicate across tools and platforms. These systems can be integrated where you need them most. And a custom machine translation will always preserve style, will preserve formatting, and preserve your own company's editorial rules so that translations look like your content and sound like your content. They're highly specialized and highly adapted for your own individual needs. Most importantly, custom machine translation enables you to embrace multilingualism where you need it most. So these systems can be integrated, can be utilized where you need to communicate multilingually. Specifically, customer service forums. By integrating machine translation in these forums, your customers can engage with your company in their own language. Intranet sites, so this helps your global employees communicate with one another. Custom machine translation can also be integrated in document sharing platforms and even in media monitoring tools so that your company can read what consumers are saying about you across the world in different languages. And custom machine translation is precisely Tilde's area of expertise. Tilde is a leader in building innovative technology, innovative language technology for the world's languages. So how do we do it? How do we build customized machine translation systems? In a nutshell, the process entails gathering massive amounts of language data, so massive amounts of language resources, which are fed as input data into complex machine learning algorithms that always guarantee the best possible translation of each sentence. And as I mentioned before, these systems also improve over time as users make edits, and they improve over time with additional data. So they constantly can adapt to new types of content, and the quality is constantly on the rise. This is how we develop these systems. What we also do is integrate terminology. So terminology is a very important part of how a company communicates. Each company has its own specific glossaries and style guides. And by integrating these terms into a system, we've shown that systems can actually raise their quality by up to 35%. So it's a significant boost in translation accuracy, translation precision, and translation quality through the integration of industry or company-specific terminology. We developed these systems for a wide range of users over the years. Localization service companies are major users of our products. Global corporations and also public administrations are users of machine translation, custom machine translation that Tilde has built. We also have deep expertise in integrating these systems very deeply into customers' tools, platforms, and applications. We have a wide variety of expertise and experience and skills as well in working with different customers in different sectors. For example, we worked with Microsoft to develop their Latvian language machine translation systems, which are currently available on the Bing Online Translator. And we've also built our own online translation platform for translating from the Baltic languages that actually offer the world's highest quality of machine translation for the Baltic languages, beating even Google Translate for translation quality. We've also worked quite a bit with localization service providers throughout the world. And in working with localization service providers, we've helped them to achieve huge productivity gains. So by using our machine translation as a first pass, and then human editing or editing the text that were machine translated, we've helped to boost the translation productivity of localization service companies by up to 30%. And of course, this has also led to substantial cost savings for our customers. We've also worked widely with public administrations in Europe to build machine translation platforms for the public sector. For example, for the Latvian government, for whom we built a machine translation infrastructure that's been also highly integrated into the public service site that's offered by the government, so that users can access government or e-gov information in multiple languages. And this has helped us to improve the availability of e-government services to multiple language communities. We've also been asked to build a machine translation service for the EU presidency, which is a rotating event in Europe that takes place in a different country each year. And we've built an EU presidency translator that's been used starting in 2015 and continues to be used today. It was specially developed for the presidency, very highly tailored for their texts, and also available in a number of different tools to make it as user-friendly as possible for international journalists, delegates, and other visitors to this massive event. Most recently, the European Commission has asked us to help them overcome language barriers in Europe and help the European Commission to embrace multilingualism and communicate more fluidly in the 24 official languages. And therefore, we're helping the Commission to build e-translation, which is Europe's automated translation platform. This will include the world's highest translation quality for all EU languages, which we're helping to build. It'll be very highly integrated into different digital service infrastructures and portals throughout the European Union, and it will be widely used by citizens, businesses, consumers, and of course public administrations throughout Europe, helping them to exchange and securely exchange documents and translate across language barriers over the 24 official languages of Europe. We've also expanded beyond the European languages as well and have offered language technology and machine translation services for other languages as well, including Arabic, most recently for a business intelligence platform that included the Arabic language and that allowed users to monitor media in different languages, in this case Arab language communities, to find out what people are saying about their brands. And these systems have been very highly regarded for the Arabic language that we have built. Finally, we're involved in a very exciting journey today into the future of machine translation. We're working on neural networks, which is really the next stage in custom machine translation, the next stage in machine translation technology that's offering higher quality translations than ever before. So what is Neural MT? In a nutshell, Neural MT is a very high-powered approach to artificial intelligence and machine learning that looks at a sentence and takes into account very complex linguistic elements like syntax or word order, agreements, sentence structure, and thereby is able to offer very high-quality translations because it processes these texts and takes into account a full sentence, almost like the human brain. The result has been more fluent, more readable, and indeed more human-like translations than ever before. So neural machine translation has really shown to be raising the bar, to raising quality machine translation, unlike anything else we've ever seen before. So we're very excited at Tilde to be part of the forefront of this journey into neural machine translation and part of this effort to continue raising the quality of machine translation for users across the globe. Because machine translation, as we've seen, is really becoming an essential tool for brands, organizations, companies, and internet users today, really to enable and to enact and to allow for this multilingual communication in the online world today, allowing people to embrace the multilingual internet and really embrace the possibilities of the multilingual world. Thank you very much.